Okay, today we are talking about money. I'm very excited to speak with Irina Albita. She is the co-founder and co-CEO of FilmChain. FilmChain is the first automated collection account management service. They offer filmmakers and beneficiaries a transparent, efficient way to manage recoupments with real-time payments, on-demand reporting, and tailored analytics. Irina has over 10 years of experience in the tech space with a mathematics and economics background. And this is why she is extremely qualified to discuss with us how filmmakers and studios and distributors can most effectively manage their revenue from distribution when releasing a film. So, hi, Irina.
Hi, Gracie. So excited to be here.
Yay. Thank you for doing this. Okay, so pretend I know nothing when it comes to revenue collection overall from distribution, because I actually really don't know anything compared to you. So just give me an overview of all the different revenue streams that an independent filmmaker might need to manage.
Very good question, Gracie. So there's a vast landscape of the revenues that filmmakers need to think about, and they manage on their day-to-day as they're putting stuff. They're starting to collect exploitation for their projects. So we're looking at anything from theatrical, direct distribution. We're looking at working with local distributors in different parts of the world, digital platforms, and so on. All of that need to be managed.
Do you have a rough idea of maybe how many revenue streams a filmmaker might have on average, or maybe a US release versus international? I know it can range.
It can range, but we can look at anything from, 5 to 20.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you gave me a term that I didn't know. So I want to go through some of these kind of basic terms. One I'm somewhat familiar with and one I really didn't know. So what is a waterfall? What is a CAMA, or collection account management agreement? And what other terms should we know for this conversation or just revenue collection in general?
I love that, Gracie, because usually I have a little dictionary that I share with filmmakers. A glossary of terms, because I find it super handy to keep in your back pocket. So the recoupment schedule, or in a visual term of the waterfall of revenues, is essentially, it comes down to if this film or TV series or if this project makes money, who gets paid what, and very important, in what order. So what it does, it really directs us at, what are the sales and how will this be paid out, and the order in which the investors and the beneficiaries will be paid during the exploitation of the project.
Oh, okay, great. And so that's the waterfall part?
That is the recoupment. That is a waterfall.
Oh, that's the recoupment. And then the CAMA, what's a CAMA?
The CAMA, well, as a company at FilmChain, we are known as a collection account management company. The CAMA is the underlying agreement, the collection account management agreement, that aligns the interests of all the parties that participated in the projects. The investors, the producers, the co-producers, any lenders, anyone, and of course your talent, everyone that had participated in your project needs to be aligned of, well, how are we going to split the money if this project starts exploiting and is a success? And the CAMA is essentially the agreement governing all these interests, all these parties.
So this is we didn't chat about this film before, but I'm curious. So have you been following the film Sing Sing and what they're doing? Okay. That sounds it sounds in a wonderful way, but complicated, right? Everybody gets paid the same on the set, but everybody gets a different, I think, whatever it's called, payment based on the minutes that they put into the film or put into promoting it. So that sounds like it might be a complicated agreement. Is that something, hypothetically, a film like Sing Sing would come to FilmChain with and help set up that agreement, or do they work with lawyers to set that up?
We love the filmmakers behind Sing Sing. We're really excited, and hopefully we're gonna work with them in the future. But the project is fantastic. We're keeping fingers crossed for them on this award season. And I would say absolutely, particularly when we always look at the film project as a collage of agreements. Well, you have first your financing agreements, you have your sales agreements when you have a sales agent involved. You'll have your talent agreements. You'll have your co-production agreements if you are a number of producers coming together to make this project work. So I would really look at it as a collage of agreements, particularly when you're managing a large group of talent that also get a portion of the success of the film, whether through points or profit participation. It's really important you document those agreements in more than a handshake. It's really important that those agreements actually come together and the talent has their entitlements set into what we call the recoupment, the waterfall. So the collection account management agreement actually includes all the talent and their essentially their future revenues or entitlements that they are owed. So it's very simple to set it up. It's really straightforward, and we wish more filmmakers, such as the folks behind Sing Sing, will empower their cast and crew with participation. We really think it's a very democratic way to produce films.
I agree. I think so too. So then, is part of the reason, do you think, just your opinion, maybe part of it sounds difficult to do, like from a paperwork standpoint. So pre technology, everything's are all in contracts, and there's someone in an office somewhere writing checks for cents on the dollars for the profit participation. Does technology, and particularly yours, allow this to be automated in a sense? Is that part of what you guys do and what your CAMA does?
Crazy. There is a large degree of complexity in making sure that, all the parties are aligned and making sure that also the negotiations during this conversation of who gets paid what are done in a favorable or in the best interest of the filmmakers themselves. Definitely technology plays a huge part because, there's one thing to say about the legal agreements and getting that set up that still involves, some legal support to get that through the line. But then there's all the operational side. Let's say now you know who gets paid what based on that agreement, but how are you as a filmmaker going to run payments in perpetuity for the next 20 years if your film was, hope it was a success to all these beneficiaries and parties? Because that's the obligation. Someone needs to run these payments, these entitlements in perpetuity for forever. So if you hit a film like Home Alone that has a surge of revenue every year, then that will really someone needs to be behind it to run those payments every quarter one. So technology does play an important part, and what we do at FilmChain is to support filmmakers with real-time automated payments for as long as their film recoups.
Oh, that's great. I would assume that would save money. Maybe I don't know if it's on lawyers or account managers, or just ensure long term you're living up to the contracts that you set at the start of production, and not miss any payments. Is that correct?
For sure. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that filmmakers, particularly producers, come to us and talk about, human errors. There is a lot to say about running this type of payments in an Excel spreadsheet. We all do that. Sooner or later, we're all winning our spreadsheet and popping in some numbers. But there is a lot to say about using a professional service that can run those payments in perpetuity. And one thing I want to say is I think it's super important and something that a lot of filmmakers come to us and say that initially they look at the collection agent just as an accounting service. It's more than that. How do you use a collection account management service and agreement to your advantage in the negotiations with your EPs, with your investors? How do you use this tool just as use a completion bond or other services to your advantage as a filmmaker?
That brings me to an important question. What is either your advice for filmmakers, as they're putting together their agreements, structuring their investments or working with EPs, or what are some kind of pitfalls to avoid or mistakes you've seen that were avoidable?
I think there's a lot to say around when you negotiate a CAMA. I think, when you negotiate essentially who gets paid what and in what order, this recoupment schedule and this agreement, this is where we see filmmakers being able to use an unbiased third party as a collection account management solution to help them navigate those conversations. we don't negotiate on your behalf. The negotiations, you still need to do that negotiation. But essentially, a lot of the times, it's incredibly important for filmmakers to make sure that they also have transparency of the revenue streams. We hear often filmmakers saying, I produce this beautiful film, this TV series, I'm giving it into the hands of other parties that are taking over, sell, distribute, and so on. I know nothing now. I've given away my baby. And there is this information asymmetry that is constantly happening in our industry of, well, what you know and what you don't know, particularly around, well, the money question. How much money has my film made? And also the audience question, who has seen our film? How has that been received? And Christy, that's your area of expertise. But on the money side, this is where we have a lot of knowledge, and we see that we see in practice, essentially the way it works as a collection account management solution. We set up a bank account for each individual film project. So the revenue, the exploitation revenue, every distributor out there, whether you do direct distribution or you go more on a traditional distribution level, every distributor will pay into this dedicated collection film account for your film, for your project. So as a filmmaker, you'll have every dollar that hits this collection account will be immediately notified to you. So there's not the sales agent collecting the money on your behalf. It's no one else. You will have full transparency of when and how the revenues are being paid.
Yeah, in real time too, right?
That is definitely the case.
More or less.
It's in near real time. Every 10 minutes, we get a response from the bank telling us, what new revenues have come in. So it's really sort of immediate feedback loop.
So for example, like at CAMA, we're a form of distribution. Filmmakers make money from us. So we have a system where their a bank account is tied to their CAMA account. And so anytime there is a transaction, whether it's a licensing fee paid or tickets paid or TVOD rentals, we release those funds. We hold them in our kind of primary account under their name, and then it gets released to them every Monday into their bank account. In this system, so would that bank account be the bank account they have with you, or would we, as CAMA, a form of a distributor, need to partner with you?
Well, I'd love to partner with you, Christy, and with CAMA. For sure. It's, I would say, it's very easy for producers and filmmakers to work with us, regardless of whether they have a direct distribution or a different or an alternative stroke, more traditional distribution route, or both. It's really the case for us. We can open up the collection account and we can collect any exploitation revenue out there. It could be from a global distributor, worldwide distributor in Germany, or it could be from VOD, and it also can be from CAMA. But it can also work alongside your product, which is a very sort of a nice collaborative way to look at it. So I would say we're very agnostic, and filmmakers should not feel in any way constrained about the route of distribution that they're taking when they're working with us.
Great. And so kind of digging into that hybrid and direct distribution, do you have any kind of examples? I know we're dealing with money and lawyers and contracts, so I understand if you can't go too deep on any one film. But are there any kind of examples you could give of a film that had many revenue streams, or a story of working with a filmmaker and how this improved their process? Anything tangible to help paint a picture?
Chrissy, we absolutely love hearing filmmakers that, well, they're taking on direct distribution routes. I think for us, we want to see more of them. We want to see more people taking really sort of their destiny in their own hands and going after and really promoting. They're the best promoters of the film at the end of the day. So we really want to see more of that. And currently, I would say about maybe 20% of the filmmakers that we support at FilmChain have gone through direct distribution routes. Still, traditionally, most of them are going through the usual routes. But we've had some incredible success stories of projects with direct distribution, where, just to kind of give you an example, one project, one feature documentary has sold in I would say, globally in every yoga studio that's out there.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
this is really, if you're talking about granular direct distribution,
Yeah.
these have been producers that have gone out and really sort of knocked the doors and accessed a type of distribution route that you wouldn't immediately think of. So what we've seen on our end, we would see hundreds of revenue sources from individual yoga studios,
Sure. Does
um,
LLCs to
a
nonprofits, and
lot
they're
of
all like probably
LSCs, all of
smaller
them
transactions, but like they're
smaller.
licensing fees, so it could be a couple $100. Yeah.
That's it. But these add up, and
Yeah.
once you look at it, they would pay into the collection account, and we would deal with the revenues that are coming in and split those revenues across with all the beneficiaries of the project. And it was also a beautiful, quite beautiful project that had quite a lot of participation from the filmmakers involved. So it was a very, very successful project. And I would say to not, particularly once you go to you think about direct distribution, don't get stuck into the technicalities. How am I going to do this? How am I really going to manage all these sources of revenue? How am I going to, because there are solutions out there.
Yes, exactly. And that's why we're interested in working with you guys too. And I love what you do because I don't understand a lot of this space. I am so curious about this, and share what you can or tell me if you can't. But you guys also, see a lot of data, and like we're similar in that we can see, there's hundreds of films on our platform. We see how they're performing and we see where they're performing. And so we get average numbers of average ticket price, average licensing fee, locations, interest areas. And we try and share that information anonymously when we can. But you must see incredible data. You're seeing global sales data. So for your individual filmmakers, and I'm sure you work with studios and distributors too. Is there anything you can share that you're seeing on the trends front? Any trends in the last year? And whether it's how much people are making, where things are getting distributed, where how right splitting is working. In general, any trends, particularly if it might be, hopeful for 2025 in the state of distribution.
We're always hopeful, and I have to say we are seeing that the industry as a whole, particularly at an independent level, is looking like it's revigorating, which is always exciting. We always aggregate and anonymize the data, just like you, and we do secrecy the other side of the coin. And to very put it, you have the audience data and very granular, exciting data around who's watching, how they're watching. And on our side, we're getting to see how that audience that converts into dollars. I wanted, because we're just coming out of a few years with quite skewed data on the revenue side, particularly because of the pandemic and the strikes. I want to be a bit mindful about pulling in sort of trends from that. But what we've been seeing from, I would say, the last 2 quarters is high revigoration. Also on the box office side, if that makes an interesting, exciting news for folks. But we're seeing definitely a revigoration of the independent space.
Right. Well, is there anything, I've one more question to ask about you and FilmChain, but anything else from where you sit, from what you see from working with the filmmakers, managing all these CAMA accounts, or running the tech that manages these? What is something that you wish every filmmaker knew in advance of starting production or at the start of their distribution?
One of the things, so we run a lot of workshops, we run a lot of educational events with filmmakers at all stages, whether they've done their 10th film or whether they're just starting and working on their first debut feature. So it's really a matter of, I really want to encourage filmmakers to find those resources out there. Feel free to reach out to us at FilmChain anytime to get as much information as possible and really feel that they're getting a lot of financial acumen before they're going into particularly negotiations with sales agents, with EPs, with investors. We want filmmakers to be in the driving seat of their project. And we find that at times, they sign agreements and they only find out much later, particularly in the exploitation side of the film, how their deals are realistically converting in dollars. So as much as possible, try to get themselves into a place where they start really understanding these deals, that there are, what does it mean to have a worldwide sales or a North American sales agent and a worldwide sale, how those commissions differ, how will that impact the actual revenue that they will see as a filmmaker. So all these questions, we're really sort of supporting them to really become more knowledgeable on.
I mean, that leads me to my last question, because it sounds like these resources are available to filmmakers through you. So where can we find you online? Where can we find FilmChain online? Where can filmmakers find you?
We can find us. We're very easy to find. I'm Irina at filmchain.co. Our website is filmchain.co. We have a lot of resources on our Medium page. And I'd be more than happy if anyone is interested to offer our recoupment schedule template, something that they can play with and actually structure their waterfall, their recoupment schedule once they start thinking about their next project. So feel free. We're happy to share it, get it in the hands of as many filmmakers as possible to start first with the spreadsheet, but that's still important. Get that information in and see how it all plays out.
Perfect. We'll put those links in the text on the video too. Well, Irina Albita, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for talking about money and managing revenue streams for distribution. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Christy.
And that's our episode. Thank you to our special guest, our producer and editor, Ron Pissarro, and you, the filmmakers, creators, marketers, and distributors that are dedicated to connecting audiences with great films.